Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Wanted to hop in here this afternoon, have a quick little conversation with you guys and gals about the defensive coordinator spot. Obviously, we've kind of got, I don't want to say they've narrowed it down to these six, but there's six names that really keep getting tossed around a lot. And I wanted to ask the fan base, how do you guys and gals feel about these six candidates? We already did a poll question earlier today. There's another poll question up right now here on YouTube. So make sure you guys and gals get your votes in there as soon as possible. And then on the back half of this, we're going to talk a little Romeo Doubs. He was on the Up and Adams podcast with Kay Adams earlier today, and he kind of sounds off on Matt LaFleur, gives you his take on Matt LaFleur. I think it was a very, very interesting perspective, and then also talked about what he liked to be in Green Bay. So we'll get the latest on Romeo Doubs as he's set to hit free agency, and I think we would all agree we'd love to have Romeo back for the right price. I think he was a great receiver this year. However, will we be able to make that happen? We're going to talk about all of that. We'll probably have Emilio joining us here shortly. So before we get into it, though, if you would, do that YouTube stuff for me. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your afternoon. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live anytime here in the near future. Let's waste no time. Let's get into it. Six defensive coordinator candidates that we've already kind of talked about earlier this morning. Again, get your votes in, guys. We've already got another poll question up. Want to make sure we get everybody's take. So earlier today on the morning show, we went ahead and put a poll question out, and we've gotten a lot more votes in now. 281 votes have been cast here. The Packers have 3 interviews in the works for new defensive coordinator. All right. If you had to choose between the 3, who would your pick be for defensive coordinator? We let that kind of sit out there, let it saturate the market a bit, if you will. And it's unanimous. Of the 3 choices, Christian Parker, the passing game coordinator, DB coach in Philadelphia, okay? Durante Jones from Minnesota, passing game coordinator, DB coach in Minnesota for our boy Brian Flores. And then Jonathan Gannon, the former head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, also the former defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles when they had that great defense. Still have a solid defense, but obviously had a great defense under him as well. So the results came in. Christian Parker ran away with it, 64.1%. Guys, I think this is huge. I'm starting to feel, and it's early in the process. There's a lot of other guys we want to interview. We're going to talk about 3 other kind of long shot candidates, and we'll talk about why they're long shots. That's what you guys are currently voting on right now here on YouTube. But, you know, those guys are kind of long shots. It'd be a dream if you could land them, right? These are 3 that seem pretty darn realistic. Now, they're getting multiple interviews across the league, obviously. Christian Parker's starting to feel like that might be the guy. I mean, this is the second time he's interviewed for the DC spot for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, last time went in a different direction. So I'm really starting to really perk up a little bit on Christian Parker, like this might be the guy. So again, he runs away with this particular poll question here that we have on X. So what I want to do is take those 3, right? Those 3 that have been voted on that we have already interviewed. Okay, so Christian Parker wins that poll question. Now, let's shift gears. And I just put this poll question up not too long ago, so we'll see how many votes we got. We're up to 171. That's a pretty decent sample size of the long shots, if you will, the guys that are a little more established, or maybe the guys that are I'll explain why each of these are a little bit harder to maybe sign, okay? Which of these 4 choices would you prefer to have as the Packers' new DC? Number 1, Brian Flores. Obviously, he was the defensive coordinator for Minnesota. If you're going, whoa, Clay, that's a lateral move. No, Brian Flores is a free agent. So why is it a long shot? He could get signed as a head coach somewhere, right? He could get a deal as a head coach somewhere. Most likely that'll happen. So this is really a long shot. Again, that's one of the choices on this poll question. Next, Raheem Morris, the former head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, obviously has a lot of history with the Sean McVay, Shanahan tree, one of the bright young defensive minds from the Shanahan tree, if you will. Okay, so Raheem Morris from Atlanta is another choice. Sean McDermott, the head coach for the Buffalo Bills, which, by the way, if you guys are not keeping up with that absolute crap show up in Buffalo where they're all basically saying it's Sean McDermott's fault for everything that's happened because Sean McDermott came in and said, hey, I want to change some stuff up with the roster. And they basically said, who the heck are you? So they run him out of town, right? Former Buffalo head coach, defensive coordinator in Carolina for years. So did that so well. I want to say, who was he under down there? You guys help me out in the chat. The former head coach, gosh, it's slipping my mind right now. I think he played for the 85 Bears. Ron Rivera. Riverboat Ron Rivera was the head coach down there, if I remember correctly. Sean McDermott was his defensive coordinator and did a heck of a job down there. That's how he ended up getting the head coaching job, obviously, at Buffalo. That's one of the choices. And then the all-Wisconsin guy, Mr. Jim Leonhard. He's currently the passing game coordinator for Denver. Now, if you're going, whoa, Clay, why is he a long shot? Because passing game coordinator, however, Vance Joseph, their defensive coordinator, might get a head coaching job as well. Now, there's two schools of thought here. Some people look at Jim Leonhard and go, oh, we'll definitely have a shot at him. Oh, Brian Flores, we definitely have a shot at him. And then you got other people on the intrawebs that'll tell you, Brian Flores will never be available. Jim Leonhard won't be available. Listen, somebody's got to be available. Everybody we throw out there, you say, oh, he won't be available. There's only 32 teams, Hallscat, and we're one of them, right? So I can't stand that. It's just like draft season. We start talking about prospects. We're like, he'll never be there. Goody would never draft him. Shut up. Like, can we just talk a little ball here, for God's sake? So, with all that being said, Flores, Raheem Morris, Sean McDermott, Jim Leonhard. Here is the vote on X. 214 votes now. Brian Flores, 65%. How much, Emilio? How much did we just say?
Oh, man, I should have been ready for that.
Oh, you're good, dude. You just jumped in here. You kidding
Tim
me?
would be disappointed.
65%.
65%. That's what we. So Brian Flores runs away with it at 65% on YouTube, or I'm sorry, on X. We'll check YouTube. Second place, Jim Leonhard from Denver. Third place, Raheem Morris. Fourth place, Sean McDermott. So everybody a little sour on Sean McDermott here, Emilio. That kind of, I don't want to say it catches me off guard, but that's just interesting seeing that he's probably there's only three guys on this list, right, who are former head coaches.
Right.
Brian Flores, Raheem Morris, Sean McDermott. Of the three, I think it's really, really, really safe to say Sean McDermott had the most success as head coach. But people obviously see Brian Flores as a dominant defensive coordinator. I got to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot here, man. Who would you pick of these four right here? Brian Flores, Raheem Morris, Sean McDermott, or Jim Leonhard?
Wow. I've been back and forth on this. At first, I was thinking Flores, right, for what happened. And then when they let go of Sean, that kicked around in my head for a while. Just because, he'd been up in the cold, right? He understands what it's like. He understands a franchise QB. He realizes, I think that they just built that defense a little bit too fast for his kind of style. They were kind of light in the loafers and tried to play with speed. And I just don't think they had that physicality, but I think actually I'm kind of on Sean right at the moment, but, Jim Leonhard would probably be 2. Flores would be 3, I think, for me. Right at the moment. Obviously, I can change, but I just like the fact that you get somebody that's been through that grind. He got let go, been to the playoffs. I don't know how many times, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, whatever it was. So he knows how to get there. You can kind of bring that mentality with you. I like that thought.
No, I got it, man. And Packer Doug agrees with you. You said Sean, right? Emilio, that was the final choice. Yep. Packer Doug says, I voted for McDermott, defensive orientation, and brings head coaching experience for Matt LaFleur to tap into. That's a huge factor. It is. And, here's the thing, too. Raheem Morris kind of brings a little bit of that, too, a little bit of head coaching experience. Yep. But we all know Raheem Morris, Matt LaFleur, good friends. It's like, do we want to, and I think that is overstated when people say he needs to stop hiring his friends. If you're a great coach, I would rather you have that kind of that personal relationship, that guy that you've been in the trenches with, right, so to speak. So it makes sense. But I do love what you guys said there with McDermott. I think it's very, very interesting. So again, on Twitter, it was Brian Flores 1, Jim Leonhard 2, Raheem Morris 3, and Sean McDermott 4 is the order in which it fell. Now, if we hop over to YouTube, I can't put it on the screen, but I'm going to read it off to you guys. Let's see if it matches here. Oh no, I screwed up.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
I left one off. I'm so sorry, guys. So Raheem Morris
forced their hand, Clay. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I was controlling the vote, man. This is the safest, most secure vote we've ever done on PTA. All right. So Brian Flores, 55%. Looks like we got 49 votes in there already. So 54% now. Brian Flores running away with it. Second, Jim Leonard at 26, which matches what we see here on X. Yep. Then Sean McDermott at 20%. So I imagine a good chunk of the Sean McDermott votes probably would have went to Raheem Morris too. I feel comfortable saying that we've gotten our answer here, Emilio. So before you hopped on, we were talking about the candidates that already interviewed or are set to interview with the Packers, right? And that is obviously Christian Parker, the DB coach there and passing game coordinator for the Eagles, Durante Jones from Minnesota, same pretty much title there, and then Jonathan Gannon, the former head coach in Arizona. Of those three, Christian Parker, Durante Jones, or Jonathan Gannon, which one would you pick out of those three there?
When I was driving back, I was listening to Ryan break those down. I think Parker would probably be my lean where you're going, just because you get Quinyon Mitchell, you got Cooper DeJean, a lot of guys that have developed off of draft picks that we were also eyeballing the whole time. And you got those guys to kind of excel. You bring them to the playoffs. Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot more issue on the offensive end than there was on the defensive end with the Eagles this year. They were going through it with their receiver, their QB, coach, all that stuff. But the defense kind of was humming along. And, you got a couple of Georgia guys there. I feel like you can sort of bring that mentality right over here, and it would sort of just slide right in like a puzzle piece. So I would go with Christian Parker there.
Yeah, and I'm just going through X, make sure we're not missing anything new here. I think we're up to date. I want to make sure there were no other interviews scheduled. Sometimes we go live and this stuff comes flying in randomly and rapidly. So again, we've done our research here, right? We've asked the fan base both on X and on YouTube. And of those three groupings, the top choices are Christian Parker from Philly and Brian Flores from Minnesota. Okay. So I like it. And the whole reason I want to do this, Emilio, is kind of fill out the fan base a little bit. How do you guys feel about this? Yeah. I think those were my top two choices too. Now, Durante Jones. What's that?
Who was your top two, you said?
Parker and Flores.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I had to pick of those two. Yeah. Yep. And I'm with Ron. I've been listening to his breakdown. Parker is really, really interesting. I could see
he's on that climb, right? Where you go out and reach out on someone that's, elevating and better each year, all of that. And he just doesn't have that head coach experience.
Right. And listen, if there's one thing that Matt LaFleur, I think, has kind of learned that proved to be successful, obviously he went and got Joe Barry, a linebacker coach, to be his DC. Didn't work out as well. So you go and get Hafley, who specializes in DBs and passing game coordination, and bang, you've seen some success, right? So probably stay in that same vein there. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about those two choices? Would you be on board with those being your two choices, Christian Parker and Brian Flores, or maybe you've got another two that you like out of those six? And again, I know there's other candidates that people probably like a lot more. I chose them because that's kind of narrowing it down. A realistic, here are the guys and gals, or here are the guys that got or have interviews scheduled, and then of course you got the three that are like, man, we dream, right? Yep. So. Yeah. So if you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about those six candidates? Which two would you choose? Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future live streams. We got a super chat here from Josh Martin. Thank you so much, Josh. He says, read it for me, Emilio, while I write this timestamp.
Yeah, Josh Martin says here, after today's Bills press conference, love the deep dive. Josh, keep that up. I think McDermott got shafted. I think recent bias is hurting McDermott. I believe he's a great DC. And again, when you're the head coach, you got to handle it all, right? You're worried about Josh Allen. Josh, hold on to the football. I got to get my D back out there, all that stuff. Let him just go back to being a DC for a minute, get his foot under him. I bet, you go out, you hire him at the Packers. We go to the playoffs 1 or 2 years, he's gone, right? I mean, he would be hired back out by another team, no problem. I feel like if you're looking at a coach like that, he has talent. Is somebody that you wouldn't mind getting on your staff. And I just love having that extra knowledge of being a head coach, having to carry a team with them, and obviously Hafley had that, but it was college, right? So let's get an NFL, one of the 32. Those are good odds.
Yeah, completely agree. Thank you for the super chat there, Josh. You are the man. Also, J. Cole says, where the hell is Tim at? We need him in.
Tell me about it.
We need him in here. What are we doing?
He is a G.
That's correct, Coach. Tim is doing way more important things right now. He had some stuff come up this week. He'll be back in the fold very soon. I'm trying to put just enough pressure on him, Emilio, but not too much pressure. We got to get you back in here, Tim. You know what I mean? It's like Jello. It's like Jello. You can push it, just not too much. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Give a little, take a little.
Absolutely. All right. Next topic here, guys. Let me time stamp it. So, Romeo Doubs was on the Up and Adams with Kay Adams earlier today, and we're going to play a couple sound bites from him. Now, we talked about Romeo Doubs. If you guys are following along on patreon.com, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, the best way to support what we do here at PTA. We kind of broke down some of the guys that are set to hit free agency. What's their market value? All that stuff, right? Romeo Doubs' market value, I'm trying to remember right offhand, was $12 million is what they're saying. Will he get more? Possibly. Will he get less? Possibly, right? We all know that anything can happen once you hit free agency. But how does Romeo feel? Emilio, you remember last year, Romeo Doubs, it was last year he got suspended, right? Not this past season, but the year before. He got suspended. Maybe he wasn't happy with his role on the team, this and that.
Right.
People were thinking he's going to be gone. I know I was one like, man, if there's one person you could just trade away, it'd probably be him if there are problems behind the scenes. Of course, Matt LaFleur got asked about it earlier this year, and he went to bat for Romeo, said Romeo ain't going nowhere. I remember him saying that right before the trade deadline, right? Well, he was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams. I'm going to throw this up here, and let's listen to what Romeo Doubs had to say about Matt LaFleur and his ability to lead such a young roster. I love Emilio. I feel like I've been talking to a brick wall all year long. So many more people. I heard Rob Domofsky mention it earlier. Several people, Wildy and Tausch, have been talking about. There's more and more people talking about how young this roster actually is and what Matt's actually done with the youngest roster in the league. And I love this take from Romeo Doubs. About 1:50 long. We're going to react to it, and then we got one more soundbite from this podcast as well. So here was Romeo Doubs. Let's kind of put yourself in his shoes, guys. He's set to hit free agency. Does he want to stay in Green Bay? Does he not? This is his opportunity, right? He's pretty much out the door if he wants to be. This is his opportunity to rake Matt over the coals if he wants to. Here's what Romeo had to say about Matt LaFleur.
What is that relationship?
I love Coach LaFleur. Like, he's a huge reason why I am where I am. And I don't even want to speak on, like, just the football aspect because I know, just part of my growth just as a person. I give him a ton of credit for that because, again, it's just a bigger perspective on every end. Like, you get a Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers and you bring in Jordan. Clearly, the whole offense is different going into that next year when Randall's gone and Cobby's gone. And I thought just throughout the course of those years with Jordan, obviously, being the guy in Green Bay, I thought he did a fantastic job. Just us being young players in the league, are we talented as a room, as an offense? Yes, we are. But it was just it wasn't normal, is what I'm saying.
What do you?
It was different.
Wasn't normal?
Just the team, like how young the team is, and just giving us that opportunity to grow is what I'm saying.
Well, people wanted your coach fired after the season.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I disagree with that.
Yeah. No.
And the biggest reason for that is because, like Matt has he's one of the best coaches in the league, bro. And, like I said, just based off the situation alone and what he had to deal with, like, I do not fault them keeping him there. Like, he's one of the top coaches in the league.
So obviously Romeo Doubs going to bat there for Matt LaFleur. Emilio, how many players are going to do this? Jordan Love, Micah Parsons, Josh Jacobs, right? Who was the other one? I always forget. Micah Parsons, Jordan Love, Josh. There was another one too that was Tucker. Tucker, same thing. He kind of laughed it off like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
Right.
What do you mean fire him? So it's cool to see Romeo. And again, Matt had no reason to treat Romeo any better than anyone else, knowing he's probably not going to be here this year. We know how Goody likes to operate, right?
Yep.
He likes to keep the roster young, and hey, why not? This may take a few targets away from Matthew Golden if you keep him, knowing that we think he's going to play the boundary X if Romeo does leave in free agency. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting perspective. What do you think about it, man?
Yeah, I felt that's it. I mean, that's, oh man, we'll have to hit it, Dennis. But I feel like Rome's
I'll go ahead and do it right now before you get into
Please.
it. Dennis, since you asked, he said Tucker's in a better place now. Here you go.
Tucker is in a better place.
Go ahead,
That's
man.
great. Just what a drop. Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like, all right, Matt's what, 40, right? I think he got the job when he was 38, 39 or something. He's a 30, 40-year-old leading 20, 30-year-olds, right? I mean, it's a grown man leading grown men. And Matt's able to do that, right? Maybe he was, oh, shucks, Matt LaFleur at the beginning. He is Tupac Matt LaFleur now, and he can handle a locker room. You see the way they rally around him. You see how Vrabel's got that one clap kind of thing. Maybe Matt doesn't have that, but why do you don't need that for your team. However your team works is how it goes. And I think that the fact that you have so many players out there batting for him just shows that he is a genuinely good person. Like if he didn't care about, you got to care past just the football, right? You can't get somebody to go out there, fight for you, to leave it all on the line, bleed for you, if you're only caring about what they give you in the 15-minute quarters, right? You got to care about, when you go home, you got to be happy when you go home. How's your life? How's the kids? All that stuff matters, right? It's still real life. They're still human beings. And Matt does a great job of being able to split that, but also, hold them accountable and keep them on track. But yeah, the fact that Rome went from, quote unquote, people said where he was a head case, he's got all these problems. He was off some time, he got suspended. And the fact that he turned it around, it's kind of like that Sean Ryan look where it's like, hey, I'm going to get on you because it was like in school, right, Clay? If you're the best player, you're a top 5 player, that coach is going to get on you all season long.
He better.
Right. Because he needs to make sure that he's on you so that you can get the best out of yourself. That's what Matt does. And I feel like Rome believes in that and loves that he is like that.
Yeah, and he did it with Malik Heath too. I remember Malik Heath's first training camp. Malik Heath came out of college with a lot of problems. I think he got in a DUI in college, and that's why he fell in the draft, and many people didn't take a flyer on him. Matt LaFleur gave him a shot, and Matt LaFleur said, I remember at a not a preseason presser, but a training camp presser, so I'm going to ride his ass. Like, I'm going to make sure I get the best out. Now, it sounds like he screwed up again down the stretch, and obviously Goody and them decided to move on. Will he be back? Possibly. But I think Matt genuinely does care about people. And I know there's a portion of the fan base, I don't care. I want to win. I got you. I completely understand. I want to win too. But you cannot just toss this to the side. Again, people don't care what you know till they know that you care. They're not going to listen to you. They're not going to be coachable. They may be coachable on the surface. Yeah, coach got it. Coach got it. They're not going to truly give you everything they got. Like the old Lombardi quote, what battles are won in the hearts of men.
Yep.
And once you've won their heart, they'll follow you anywhere, right? Like that is coaching. Coaching is teaching. Teaching is really caring. It's about showing that person, listen, I'm trying to do what's best for you. It may hurt a little bit now. And I think Dan Campbell's done a good job of that in Detroit. Now this year took a step back. We'll see how they respond next year. They had a lot of injuries just like we did, but he did the same thing. I remember that training camp clip from Dan Campbell where he was talking to his players going, guys, I wish we didn't have to do this. I wish we didn't have to put in all this work. I wish we didn't have to hurt in training camp. Believe me, if there was another way of doing it, I would do it that way. But we've got to do this because he's been a player in the league. He knows what it takes. Now, Matt doesn't have that experience as a player, but I think that players do respond to him really, really well. Again, man, you made the playoffs 3 years in a row having the youngest roster. It's just wild. So here's Romeo Doubs. Now, all of that, throw it to the side, all the lovey-dovey stuff, right? Will Romeo Doubs be back in Green Bay? The first question is, does he want to be back in Green Bay, right? Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing, too. It'd be real easy to go, it's a business, and that's it. Just leave it at that. He took this answer a little bit further on Up and Adams with Kay Adams. Listen to Romeo Doubs when he was asked about his future.
Will you
and I would leave that unknown. I would love to be a Green Bay Packer, but I'm just aware of this business. I understand how things go. And, I just keep it short. Keep it real short.
Can I ask you this? When you're on Amazon buying things, like you look at like value, priority, what's important? I'm going to go over a little. I'm so sorry. What's important to you as a free agent? Is it being a true labeled wide receiver one? Is it You know, like what's important to you, as you will hit the market and then you'll get wined and dined by teams wanting to bring you home.
I got to be honest. I get it. You know, free agency and money and all this other stuff. But when it really come down to it, I just want to play football. And like, again, yeah, the situation is everything. Like, I know there's a lot of energy that goes into that. But like I said, when it come down to it, you know, I still got to be a ball player. I still got to go out there, make plays, be a team guy, you know, be reliable, and just to continue to be a leader that I'm growing into.
Sounds like you want to be a Packer, but I will tell you, go take the nice dinners, because I think you're going to have teams like the Chiefs, and I think the Ravens. I'm looking Giants. I made a list. Saints, Titans. You can go team up with Hafley. There will be lots of calls for you, Romeo Doubs, and I hope you enjoy that. Ultimately, I hope.
I'm telling you, dude, watching his reaction to, I know you guys couldn't see the video, obviously, we got to be careful with that, but he kind of grinned a little bit. Like, this is a guy who came up from obviously a very rough upbringing. You know, it's been talked about a little bit at time. You know, he grew up, I want to say in South Central Los Angeles. I could be wrong, but somewhere out in LA is where he grew up. And you got a guy, he's worked his ass off to get where he's at. Right. And to see him grin a little bit like, and there's going to be people that, you know, that want me, and it's going to become a little bit of a bidding war. I'm just so excited for him and Malik, to be honest with you. I would love to have them both back as Packers, but that's one we haven't really talked about much. If Malik does go to Miami, what if Romeo ends up in Miami with Malik and Jeff Hafley? How cool would that freaking be? So again, when it comes to Romeo Doubs, the calculated market value, $12 million. We've been very vocal that if you can get him at $12 million per, I don't think it's a bad move. I don't. Now, it'd be like it would not be in the best interest of Romeo Doubs, right? I hate to say it that way. That's the way the business works, and that's why I'm kind of rooting for him to go get. I want him to break the bank somewhere else. Just get everything you deserve. But if he goes out there and the market ain't there, $12 million per. Let's say a 3-year deal, Emilio. 3 years, $36 million, right? So $12 million on average, and let's say it's $10 million guaranteed. You can essentially get out of it after one. It could be a 3-year deal that's really a 1-year deal, right? Okay. And then if he performs and continues to get better, this year I think he was our leading receiver, right? I mean, it was a guy that was leading in targets. Obviously, you've seen when the lights came on in the playoffs, dude played phenomenal. Now people are going, how can we afford that, Clayton? I'm so sick of people saying we're out of cap, we can't afford nothing. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if the Packers want to be aggressive in free agency, they can free up. And I'm being conservative here. They could go into free agency with about $30 million to spend in free agency if they wanted to. And you know what? If they like the roster they got and they just want to run it back again, then you could just sit pat and have even more cap space next year. But there's so many restructures, Emilio. There's so many cuts you can make of players that I feel like we probably need to move on from. Like Aaron Banks, he wasn't it. If you do a post-June 1 cut, you could free up $18 million like that.
Right.
Elton Jenkins, we were without Elton Jenkins anyway, and I think we would all agree he wasn't quite what we were expecting to him play at center. Now, if you can get him back for a cheap price, you'd love to have him. But if you cut him out, right, that's another $20 million right there. There's a number of things you can do. So the question becomes, what does Romeo Doubs' market end up being? What number would you put on him? And any other comments you want to make on Romeo Doubs and his what he had to say about Matt and everything in between? Because again, I look at that $12 million. The first year of cap space, you would probably have a cap hit of about $7 or $8 million the way Goody structures the first year of these 3-year deals.
Right. And I've always gone back to it. That chemistry that Jordan and Rome have is beyond whatever years they've played together in the NFL as Packers. That they have a real chemistry. I think that has to amount to something, even if it's 3% that Goody weighs it in on, right? Or whoever is going to make that decision to move on or sign Romeo. And you got to think, all right, you got your franchise quarterback. What does your franchise quarterback need? Not that you need to only do what he wants, but you just got to keep that in mind. Rome was a 2 to a 3-star recruit, say 2.5-star recruit coming out of high school, went to Nevada. And now you got a guy that's going to break 10 million probably easy on the market, either as a Packer or elsewhere. And well deserved, right? He put in that hard work. He's a grinder. He's got great hands. And I think that having that little rough patch, that bump that he had gone through, I'm glad that he's out of it and he's grown from it, right? You had a couple concussions. You got the bobblehead on now, but he's going, right. It's not like it was an issue this year. It was an issue at the end of last year.
Right. He didn't have a concussion this year, right?
Exactly. So and being able to be on the field is a huge thing. And remember, we didn't have Christian half the year. We didn't have Reed most of the year. When Christian came back, Tucker was gone. We had a lot of moving parts, and who was always there was Rome. I mean, and we always talk about, you got to be on the field to, can't make the club in the tub. And to put out your best effort for Rome, for a Packer, or to make that money elsewhere. He did it this year. And that's all we could have asked for him. I would love to have him back. I think max we'd probably go as 12, 13-ish on our end. I'd ideally like him around 10, but you're going to have to pay a couple of guys moving forward. I think you maybe be able to use Rome as a 3-year bridge, maybe sign him for a 4-year deal. You can get out in 2 to 3. And then when you're ready to sign, Kraft and Reed and all them, you still might be able to move some money around and make that happen. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Rome back. I really wouldn't be.
Absolutely. I'm on board with it too, man. Again, now, if that number gets, 13, 17, 20 million per, go get your money. The roster's already kind of modeled out that we can absorb that. We can, but it's not what you want to do moving forward, obviously. So with that being said, if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about what Romeo Doubs said about Matt LaFleur? How do you feel about Romeo Doubs potentially returning to Green Bay? Sounds like he's open to it, obviously. We'll see what happens on the open market. We'll be here every step of the way. So if you don't want to miss any of that free agency coverage, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on it. I missed the super chat earlier. I don't want to put it on screen, but I'm going to do it anyway. Mike Witt, thank you so much for the super chat. But he says, I want Clayton as DC next year. Let me tell you something, Bob. If Clayton is your defensive coordinator next year, everybody getting fired. They turning the roster over. They running everybody out of town. I promise you. I appreciate the $2 dono there, man. But I'll tell you, I'm about to get ran out of town if I don't wrap this stream up. We got dinner reservations. I think you do too, Emilio.
6 o'clock.
I'm going to be getting in trouble if I don't get over there, get cleaned up, and get her to these dinner reservations. If we're late for that, I'm sleeping in the yard, and it's going to get cold.
Hey, it's simple, right? You just got to feed them, right? You just got to keep them happy. Make sure they're fed. You're good to go, and that's half the battle.
Telling you, man. And the secret to a good marriage is saying, you're right. That's it. You're right. I was wrong. You're right. That's it. You're 90% there if you can just practice those words. So
the chat was loving you this morning, though, Clay. They were saying that you were they were calling you Dr. Clay, like Dr. Dre, and Tupac LaFleur. I love that, man. You were right here, Pack of Doug Dennis. I don't know what's better, Tupac LaFleur or the Tupac Clayton we got this morning. My man was El Fuego.
I'm glad y'all feel like that because as soon as I stopped the stream, I went, God, I shouldn't have went on there.
Dr. Clay, Mr. NWA. I mean, we got it. We're cooking.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you.
Appreciate it, right?
Get back in that again, Lord.
But again, anybody that has access to Patreon, that link for the draft board updated, Clay, is in there. So we are cruising, ready to go. What you got? 300 plus, you said? We'll start getting some numbers in there.
We've got 395 prospects. First of all, there's 800 prospects on the board.
That's 300 more than last year. We had like 550-ish last year.
Yeah. So we got 395 that already have an average score. So it's kind of like, all right, it's enough data that you're getting a really good idea of the assortment of the draft board. So it's looking really, really good. I'm excited about that, man. Dumped a bunch of numbers in there earlier, and the board just popped. It came alive. Yep. And it's only going to continue to do that even more as we move forward. Mike Witt with the last super chat. Thank you, Mike. I love Romeo, but I really want Golden to get more snaps next year. Kid's going to be a star. That's a great point, Mike. If you ask me going into next year, you can choose. You've got the final say. Which one do you want playing Boundary X, Romeo Doubs or Matthew Golden? I want Matthew Golden. I love Romeo. You just heard everything I said. Yep. So that might be the deciding factor. And that's really it is the deciding factor of why I'm not willing to pay over market value or really right at market value because, again, that's what Bill Parcells referred to as a progress stopper. That doesn't mean they're doing something to stop the progress of the team intentionally or they're a bad player. No. It just simply means by putting him out there, you're preventing the guy from behind him to get those meaningful snaps. Is really maybe I think we would all agree Matthew Golden looks like he's got a much higher upside than Romeo Doubs. maybe right now Romeo Doubs is the better option.
Right.
But the longer you wait to get Matthew Golden those extra snaps, those extra targets, then it's going to slow down that progression, obviously. And it's going to continue to hurt his confidence in himself as well. I think all that's a real thing. But
And the last thing you put in place, Clay, is a wide receiver.
And they'll go, oh, what are you talking about? That's stupid. I didn't make that up. That's Bill Walsh. That's Bill Walsh that said that. The last piece you put in place is wide receiver.
Yep.
So maybe Bill Walsh don't know what the hell he was talking about. I don't know. So anyway, Emilio, appreciate you jumping on here, bub.
Absolutely, man.
All right, guys, we're out of here. We will be back tomorrow morning for any breaking news. I'll be at dinner, calling through Twitter off to the side when she ain't looking, trying to see if we get another DC interview or not. But we're going
to be going live at 10 o'clock when he gets home, full, about ready to pass out. We got a DC.
Exactly. So we'll see you guys and gals tomorrow. Thank you all so much for all the support. You're awesome. Hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. That's Emilio. My name is Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go. We're out. Bye, guys.